Thank you, everyone. Good evening. I was born Christopher Logan, but creatively, I like to go by the name Loganic. Um, a little bit about my background. I would say I'm on my second life now. My first life consisted of me going to school, getting a degree, getting a master's degree, going to work, considering myself as an artist, but working in order to just to make a living, right? Um, After a certain while, I kind of felt hypocritical because I was working for the School of Visual Arts and for the Fashion Institute of Technology as an admissions counselor, bringing in other art students to say, this is what you would like. You would like to be an artist? This is what you need to do. And of course, they were always asking me, after school, what type of work can I expect? What type of job can I do? What can I do? And so they will, of course, ask me, what did you do? You got a graduate degree, right? And so I felt a bit hypocritical for bringing in art students without myself emerging fully into the field of my art. And so within my 30s, I pulled the rug out from under my feet and I moved from New York to Berlin. This was 2007 to 2014 I was here. The work that I'm going to show you today generally ranges from 2014 to current. The reason why I'm showing this work is because there was a strong influence on my work from leaving, uprooting myself from the US, moving to the States, and living kind of a more of a nomadic lifestyle. But life in transit has made an influence on my work. And so I'm still feeling things out, but I kind of feel that this is a way for me to kind of explore it a little bit more. Right. Now, these are just some pieces that I created. As you see, studio sessions. When I was here before, generally, let me tell you about the process in which I work. I usually have no preconceived plan of what I'm going to paint, no preconceived image or idea. I just start making marks on the canvas or the paper or whatever material. From there, I should see something. So I try to approach it like a shaman, kind of like a divination process. You know, throw something out there, see what you see, and try to bring it back for others to see. Right? So that's my process. And during that, I felt that I wanted to engage a bit more with people in doing my work because a lot of times I was just very reclusive, working in my own studio, doing my own work. And so I felt that I needed to take it outside, you know. This shows working working within the Open Walls Gallery is stop by vetting. But this was outside the gallery space, but I felt that I wanted to go a bit further. A little bit about the process. I start, like I said, I have no idea. And so it starts from a total chaotic feel. I work from intuition. I work from feelings. So it's basically a chronicle or a recording of emotions that I like to put out there. And so I work from total chaos to a loose order. I don't want to fine tune everything. I would really appreciate in my work if many people see their own visions. Like everybody has their own viewpoints, right? So this was a live painting session I did in Detroit. And so moving ahead, I often felt that I wanted to not just create artwork for the art community, but I wanted to be able to touch people generally. And so what I would do before I left Berlin, I started just going out, taking cheap materials, going to the 99-cent store, buying craft paper, put it up on a abandoned building wall, and just work outside. People will walk past. Sometimes we had conversations. Sometimes they just enjoyed what I'm doing, and I would leave it out there. I would leave it out there because it's not about the money. It's not about just selling my art, but it's about sharing it. And so I wanted to leave it out there and they could just take it at will. So I told myself that wherever I went, from being here in Berlin, whether I was in Detroit or New York, do a live piece, leave it. like don't feel like I have to reap all the results of my work, right? But I call them gift-aways. They're just on usually cheap materials, easy to take off with the masking tape, and so take it home with them. And you can't read it here, but that was a little note. I usually leave a note for them to read. You know, these were all in Detroit in 2015. Like this one said, "This is a gift, art for you. Take it and bless another." Right? The style in which I draw kind of preceded the style in which I paint. The style in which I draw, I would feel is more so. I mean, like I was talking about before, no idea. Start making marks and see what I see from there. But what I recognized in my drawing is I had a lot more fluidity, and I was able to move a lot quicker, and I would get my ideas out a lot faster that way. But I wanted to find a way through doing my drawings that when I reapproach my paintings, I can start painting like I draw. I can start being as quick, loose, free, not trying to fine tune every single thing, but trying to be more of just like a diviner in the process, right? So now I'm started with the process. I started to incorporate paint. First, it was just craft paper, markers, just general stuff anybody can do, because I wanted to encourage other people as they saw it that they can actually engage in the artistic process too. It's not just for artists who went to art school. Right? But as you can see with my work, it can look very chaotic in the strokes or the way I approach the brushwork. But I just like to record energy. I want to record my energy. I want to be able to push it out there and be other people to be able to kind of feel that intuitive moment, And so it's basically a chronicling of those feelings, So what I wanted to do, I know I'm breezing through these, but I put a lot of pieces up here from that time, but I just wanted you to see just the approach of the process, and it can span from drawing to painting, or as you can see, even collage, where I just don't know what it's going to be, but I gradually make it into what I want it to be, right? Before Grease Mueller closed, bless him. Yeah. I put this piece here because with another artist friend of mine, Pascal's here, we did this event in which we just were able to do a live painting, show our artwork, and also have music involved. Because if you probably recognize in maybe some of the pieces before, when I was doing a live piece outside, I often would have earphones. So music was a part of my process. And so ongoing, although this is not necessarily a series, because it wasn't preordained as a series, retroactively it can be a series. And in this way, I can be able to put art and music together if I'm able to have an event that incorporates those multimedia effects, right? And a lot of these live pieces came as a result of being in a more musical space. And so I'm really realizing that going forward, I want more opportunities for myself to collaborate art and music. Okay. Okay, so we're nearing the end here. Yeah, here we go. Okay, so that's generally how I work, but I just wanted to show you these selection of pieces from like 2014 to current, just to show how it's kind of been working lately, Okay, thank you.
When you want to create a work, is there like moments, phases in your life that you say now it's the right time to create, or some other phases not the right time to create? And which are these? Because you say I paint every day and everything is captured.
Being that it's intuitive, yeah, for most likely, is usually a time to create. There's rarely a time that I'm saying, don't do it, you know. But yeah, I definitely feel that I need to create when I'm heavily emotional, you know. Men do cry. So if I wanted to, I would much rather put that on canvas than, you know, show the world in another way. But I feel that those strong emotions are the right time to actually execute, because I'm getting out from myself something that I can't define in words, you know, and hopefully the visual or hopefully the image will approach it in somehow. But it's more therapeutic for me to work when that feeling is rich, you know, strike when the iron's hot, in a sense.
Thank you very much for the presentation. In a way, your work kind of reminds me of Jackson Pollock. So I was wondering, do you have like a certain technique with your hand? Like, do you follow some form of self-similarity when you are during the process of drawing? Because it's also very fractal-like in a way, and it looks very natural. Yeah, definitely the signature is there. So yeah, do you have some sort of a technique that you follow?
Well, not that I planned, but being that I usually, I'm working for myself, they can often look similar, maybe just in the way that I work. And sometimes I have to fight not to see the same images, because as I'm looking through this cacophony of strokes, I often see a face, you know, and I think that's usually like the first thing that kind of comes out. But it's not like I have a certain way. I like to work any way that will make a mark, because it just, actually, I like to discover new marks that way too, you know, different materials, different ways of just executing.
And also, where's your standpoint when you're drawing? Are you always in front of the...
It changes. It's as natural as emotion. Sometimes I work on the floor. Sometimes I work on the wall, you know. It just depends on the moment, you know, and the individual piece. Some pieces I like to splatter, let that dry, come back, work on something.
Thank you.
Thank you.
One more question.
Hey, thank you. That was very interesting. So your work always seems like it's, stream of consciousness, very intuitive. Like it looks like you're almost always painting. You know, that's the way it seems very natural for you to communicate that way. And you showed this work that you hung in different places in Detroit and Lower East Side that you gifted. And that's a very unprecious way to handle your work. You know, a lot of people make something and they want it in a museum, and you hung it on the street, and that's a beautiful thing. And I was wondering how the perception or how that was received by people that came by.
Well, I received a few messages from people that actually took them, because sometimes I would leave even my information, or when I would go out and do a gift away, I would post on my Facebook or Instagram, hey, I'm doing a gift away. It would be at the corner of Hemlock and whatever, you know.
Oh, cool.
Some people would see it and go get it. But they appreciated, when I heard from them, they appreciated the fact that I wasn't trying to make art like a hierarchical type of scenario, like only the select few elite can do this. You know, art is how, we all have our own forms, you know? And so I just wanted to make sure that communication was there.
I mean, I do see the beauty and the immediacy of like street art and graffiti and stuff like that in your work. And I really love that. I think it's very humble to go out and give it back like that. I think that's a very beautiful aspect of it.
I was greatly influenced by graffiti, actually. I mean, I was never a graffiti artist, but just the fact that you can just put work out, and it's not about being for sale, and it's not about necessarily getting a physical fame. Your name may get fame, but you know, it's not about these other things that are outside of the creation, you know. Well, yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Any more questions from the audience? Yep. coming.
Only a short one. Which kind of music do you hear when you are painting?
Sometimes broken beat. Sometimes it can be house. It can be 90s hip hop. It could be instrumental or jazz fusion. Often jazz fusion.
Okay.
Jazz fusion most often.
Thank you. And I just wondered, because you showed one photographs when you have the opening, you're doing the paintings, and there is a music DJ playing for everybody more or less. Right. So how's it for you, like an artist, that the people who attended the opening doesn't really pay much attention to? Because openings are long, and people don't really focus for 45 minutes when you do your stuff. Yeah. So how's it for you? How's it feel?
It's actually freeing. Huh? I can just work, not have to worry about, I'll snooze a little later, But people often, they come in periods. They show up, see how it goes, may go back, have a beer, talk to someone, hang out, come back and see how it goes later,
So you do like this interaction with the audience, because when you are in the studio, you are just on your own and nobody else is there. So
when I'm doing a live painting, a lot of times I don't mind talking to people. I just can't have a long conversation.
Okay. Good. Thank you.
Totally.
Any more questions? Okay, ladies first, sorry.
I just want to know, what material were you using for your initial gift-aways when you just had the black? Was it charcoal or was it marker on that paper? The initial ones that you were doing?
That was craft paper and marker.
Marker. Okay.
And then I started using correction fluid.
Okay.
Like whiteout.
Yeah.
Whiteout pens.
Very cool. Yeah. Awesome. Thank you.
Cool.
When you understand that the artwork is done, when you get?
That's a good question. Actually, I think if I can look at it and say, it seems to generate something, I know that's selfish as the artist to say, okay, this is it. No more touching of it. But it kind of will speak. It'll say it, And I just make sure I don't name it until I get that feeling. Let the baby be born. Then you can name it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.